Y'all still build. What's the deal, man? We back like we never left. It's the top of the week. Y'all know how the story go. Y'all know what I'm heading to do. But peep game, we gonna get right into this game, man. First off, we gonna talk about Conor, Benn, and Chris Eubank Jr. in totality, man. But before I get into that, right, before we even break down the fight, I want to say this, man. I said it on Luke's platform when I was on there on, what was that, Saturday. These are two under accomplished fighters, man. Especially Chris Eubank, considering how long he's been in the sport and the caliber of opponents that he's fought. He's fought Groves. He's fought Maffei Korobov. He's fought Billy Joe Saunders. He's fought people. That resume, just being in that, just being in them type of fights or whatever, man. That should at least put you in position to where you're fighting for a title, or just being a consistent contender and fighting the best the division has to offer. But he just did, fighting bigger men or dudes his size is just something that he's never been privy to. He doesn't want to take the risk. All right, whatever the fuck ever, man. But Conor Benn is a dude who's still making his name and making his bones in the sport, man. So with him, it's a little bit more understandable, man. Like where Chris Eubank Jr. is at right now is where Conor Benn should have been at, or is aspiring to be at as far as resume is concerned. But, alright, cool. So, for these two to be as underdeveloped as they are, for them to put on the type of fight of this magnitude speaks volumes to the, how fertile and vibrant the market is over there. It's a rivalry. Now, granted, they didn't get it over the line immediately. It took them a couple of years to do it. I was never a fan of this fight because I'm not a fan of fighters jumping up multiple divisions to fight another fight. I don't like that shit, man. I don't, because I think it's unfair in most cases. It's unfair. It's unfair. I'm just not a fan of it. But you have those situations like Bud and Canelo, and now in this situation, Chris Eubank and Conor Benn Jr. So, kudos to, to him for doing that, man. But my point is, these dudes, when they struck while the iron was hot, and we got two massive fights out of these dudes, and this, it's not an over-marination or nothing like that. It's, the boxing scene demanded it. They commanded that fight. The boxing public over there in the UK, they commanded that fight. And they went and they got the job, they got the fight over the line. And they had two successful events off of it. America really needs to get their shit together, bro. It's always going to come back to that, because there's no excuse as to why fights that y'all think are worth the moon and the stars should be getting over marinated, and we want to do bullshit and wait till we both pay-per-view attractions before we fight each other to get the most bang for our buck, bro. That Manny Mayweather shit is out the window, because y'all are not talents of those dudes. Y'all are not only are y'all not talents of their caliber, y'all are not attractions of their caliber. Let's just be real. America is not producing talents like they was 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. They just not. We have talented fighters, definitely, man, but this ain't the era. This ain't yesterday, where we're head and shoulders above the rest of the competition, man. The world is catching up to us. Divisions that we was once Debo and niggas in, we don't even have a fucking stake in. We have no stake at light heavyweight outside of David Benavidez. We have no stake at cruiserweight. We have no stake at heavyweight. Barely got any at super middleweight. It's just, it's a culmination of American arrogance and why the scene is so fucked up and in dire needs, in just a dire position that it's in now. They just want to over-marinate fights. Everybody think they Hollywood. Every time they get out there to fight, every time they get out there, to fight, they want the moon and the stars, man. Y'all keep trying to find ways to get the most bang for y'all buck without having to go through the gauntlets that you're normally supposed to go through to get to that bag. I don't want to fight my friends. Oh, well, I'm going to move up to this division, so I get around fighting this nigga right here. It's just a multitude of reasons why y'all, why America is just, is boring, man. It's not boring, but it's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, what? It's irritating, man. So when you got fighters over there in the UK, that's, they fight the domestic level talent as they're both ascending. Now, Chris Eubank Jr. isn't ascending, and Conor Benn is still somewhat ascending. But the fact of the matter is, due to their father's rivalry, they got the fight over the line. They got the fight over the line. It was a fight. It was a fight that the American public wanted, and they didn't try to sit there and hold that fight hostage and ransom that shit. So where somebody's gonna come out and put up the money that each of these fighters want. Nah, bro, we want this shit now. And like I keep saying, if a fight is really worth its weight in gold, like y'all think, like y'all swear all these fights are, these the biggest fights that the sport has to offer, and that fight really is, it's a battle between two contemporaries, two even level fighters, evenly matched fighters, you can get a potential rematch and a potential trilogy if it's like that. But y'all don't want to do that shit, man. Everybody, just y'all keep trying to find ways to get around, getting to the biggest bag available without going through the proper channels to obtain it. Which it's understandable because everybody want it like that, but it don't always work like that. And it mostly doesn't work like that. And when y'all do stupid shit like that, the scene in totality suffers. When y'all put these fights on pay-per-view because y'all want a certain price point, the scene suffers. There's plenty of talent in the sport of boxing, man. But when I'm talking to people, just a casual observer, and they're telling me, man, ain't no good fighters out here, ain't nobody like this and that and the third, because they stuck in the era of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, or even a Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. It's like, damn. And y'all don't see this shit. Y'all, and if y'all do notice it, y'all just refuse to acknowledge it and take the the necessary steps to remedy the shit. We got bigger boxing markets across the world, bro, and y'all are still speaking as if y'all, because of what it is that the Alis and the Tysons and the Frazier's and the Foremans and the Holmes and De La Hoyas and Leonards and Hagler Hearns and all these dudes did. They don't matter, just y'all can just ride the wave of their accomplishments, and y'all don't have to put in no pain for y'all damn selves, man. Y'all don't ever have to go across the pond, and y'all don't have to do shit. Because you're American. Like, being American is just the end-all, be-all. And that shit is annoying. Because of that, we get this position that we in now with the state of boxing. So, y'all need to step y'all shit up, man. Y'all need to step y'all shit up. Y'all think y'all can do shit or say shit and get away with it because y'all American. Everybody aspires to be American. Which, in most cases, a lot of times, it is true. Because, American culture is that, gravitational. But that's no excuse for y'all to act like dickheads, man. Get your shit together, man. Get your shit together. Get your shit together. The over-marination of fights, if y'all ain't learned by now, that shit needs to be done with. This A-side, B-side shit, when none of you niggas is like that to be, pulling them type of strings, y'all get your head out y'all ass, man. Get your head out y'all ass and give us the fights that we asking for. Fuck out of here, man. But as far as the fight is concerned, man, I personally thought Chris Eubank Jr. was going to win this fight. I didn't do no breakdown or nothing like that, but I did think Chris Eubank was going to win the fight. I thought experience, I thought size and everything, and an additional corner man in Bo Mack, I figured that would be more than enough to be able to get the job done. And I just think when I look at Chris Eubank, I just think I look at a dude who I personally thought was a little bit more versed as a fighter. And who, he's been in there with the better, the higher level of opposition. I'm looking at somebody like, all right, he should be able to get this job done, man. Bo Mack is the new addition to the corner. You've been in there with the more reputable names than, that Conor Benn has. So I'm expecting you to go in here and win, you dig? And if I'm being real, Conor Benn was controlling him with the jab early on, stabbing to the body with the jab, backhand to the body. He was doing all that early on, but how Chris Eubank Jr. was moving, he was moving like somebody who's just trying to get somebody's rhythm and timing down or set you up to start walking you into traps. And in the second round, that started to be the story. Because he started putting backhands down the middle off of Conor Benn shooting in. But even with Conor Benn, it was a lot more composed and poised in how he was fighting in his approach, bro. He was jabbing a lot more, man. He was using his straight shots a lot more. He wasn't darting in and just trying to off the nigga head. He was a lot more, methodical and subtle and nuanced. And I think that, just early on, I'm seeing it, but I'm like, all right, Chris Eubank is eventually going to get into a rhythm and start making some shit shake. And he had success for like a small microcosm of a moment in that second round. I was like, all right, here we go. And in that small moment, immediately got erased by the work that Conor Benn kept doing. Because I think did he clip him with that? I think he clipped him with the 1-2 after in the second round. I think he clipped him with that. And I'm like, oh, this shit is about to be one of them nights. Conor Benn. Oh my God, man! Like that was a spectacular performance from him, man. You know, just he was fainting, and I guess he still had Chris Eubank. He still had Chris Eubank conditioned to him just coming into the pocket and just bombing and not using his IQ, because he started upsetting his rhythm, bro. Like he's fainting, and as he said, he's feint the jab and then throw the jab and then throw the two off of the jab, and Chris Eubank had no answer for that. He had no answer for that. I'm not stopping at this light. Get the fuck out of here. He had no answer for that. And that was pretty much the story of the fight. And he never abandoned the body. It wasn't a shootout like it was in the first fight. Conor Benn came in there with a legitimate game plan and was looking to stick to that game plan. And it paid dividends, man. It paid dividends. It pretty much was just Conor Benn rounds 1 to 12, dictating the pace, making Chris Eubank look really uncomfortable in there. He couldn't get Conor Benn's rhythm. He fought when he wanted to fight. He initiated the exchanges. Chris Eubank is in there throwing get off me punches throughout the duration of the fight because he can't get his feet up under him. He can't get set. He's uncomfortable in there. He's uncomfortable. Conor Benn was in there doing really good work, man, and that eventually led to 2 knockdowns in the 12th round, man. And I just even speaking to those punches that he landed, that first shot that he set him down with, bro, it looked like I was like, yo, what shot did he hit him with? Because I couldn't tell if it was behind the head or what. But when they slowed it down, it was a shot right on the ear. Shot landed right on his ear, and his legs just was compromised after that. I'm like, oh shit. Now, granted, I'm happy, I'm overjoyed. I'm like, yo, man, did he hit him in the back of the head? Then he gets up, and then the second knockdown was, it looked like it was a chopper shot to the back of the head, but once again, it was on like the ear area, and it buckled him again. 2 knockdowns, like he beat the shit out of Chris Eubank Jr., man. He beat the shit out of Chris Eubank. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say Chris Eubank Jr. didn't do no good work. I'm not gonna say that he ain't do no good work, because he did, man. He landed the jab pretty effectively. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough sting on it. It wasn't enough for him to, command his respect. It was a scoring jab, but it wasn't a thudding jab. It wasn't a jab that was going to push him back. He had good moments in there. He had good moments where, he was able to set a couple of traps for Conor Benn, but it just didn't work because Conor Benn's level of aggression was just too much for Chris Eubank Jr. And coupled in with the fact that because you have the propensity to call out smaller men, now you have to meet their weight demands. So you look drained in there. You look drained. And I ain't finna sit here and play the violin for you neither, because there's no reason why. Oh, man. I'm not about to sit here and play the violin for your fucking ass, because you should know better. Why are you fighting these smaller men when there's 168 is lush. 160 really could have used your presence, man, to get something going on. We got Johnny Beck, Carlos Adames, and Laura. Amari Jones ain't even in a position of where you can say he's one of them ones in the division. Not yet. He got years before that happens. Skin on my nose. He got some years before that happens. We got ammo. Who else we get? I mean, it's a few middleweights up there, but it's not bubbling. Middleweight could have legitimately used your presence to bring some sort of bang and pizzazz to it. But you're content with fighting smaller men. You're content, like you shameless enough to fight smaller men, and then when you go in there and look the way that you look, this is the second time that you done got bodied by a dude smaller than you. After bragging on you was going, I only need to use 20%. 20%. Like this Dragon Ball Z or something. 20% of my power should be able to do it. All right, bro. Okay, that's cool. That's what's up. I feel no remorse or sympathy for fucking Chris Eubank Jr., dog. I don't. I'm overjoyed that Conor Benn was able to go in there and do that to him. Because you needed it. You definitely needed it. Shout out to Conor Benn, man. You did it. And if we being real, Chris Eubank need to just go on ahead and hang them things up. Just go on ahead and hang them up, gang. Because where do you go after that? You can't deal with Conor, an inexperienced Conor. who are you going to beat? And that dude may have beat the punch resistance out of you, man. If Liam Beefy didn't do it, it may have been Conor, bro, because you've been down. Cutting weight in the manner that you do, my nigga, like that shit is gonna get you. That shit is. Look at where it's gotten you. Look at where it's gotten you. Embarrassed because you want to be shameless. Super pause. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm back. But yeah, man, now you're looking embarrassed right now, man. You know, this shit is, it's sickening, man. It's sickening. And I mean, just the bully shit. We always try to gain some sort of competitive advantage over, you know, over a fighter because for whatever reason, as opposed to just walking through the fire, bro. That shit is whack. You have 2 embarrassing losses because of it. Wouldn't it just felt better to go up there and lose to Johnny Beck? At least Conor Benn, you got a bag, man. You didn't get that bag. Wasn't that big for you to go and fight Beefy? For that shit, you may as well fought Johnny Beck. You may as well fought a dumbass. You turned your nose up at a fight with these niggas, though. You turned your nose up at a fight with Hamza Shiraz, but you wasn't too good for fucking. I have no sympathy for Chris Eubank Jr. Please retire and leave us the fuck alone. Talent wasted. Was he the best fighter? No, he wasn't, man. But I just think when you fight a certain level of opposition, naturally that enhances your IQ. That enhances your skill set. In a loss and all that. It does. I see the counter punch in there. I see the feet. I see the the ability to set traps and walk an opponent into a backhand. I see a good job. I seen all of that. That could have been enhanced had you wanted to go up there and put yourself and test yourself. You didn't want to do it though. So here the fuck we are. You in an embarrassing loss. And I have no sympathy for him. I don't. So shout out to Conor Benn. I like that he said he wants to go back to 147. I dig that. I dig that. And I like how he mentioned Mario Barrios' name. And I'm not mad at him for mentioning that dude's name because he's still developing. Go get the, go chip off the block. Go get the weakest link. Debo that belt off of him. And I know for sure that Conor Benn will fight the credible fights that's needed. Mario Barrios is trying to fight a Ryan Garcia, dog. Just a shameless champion. Just a shameless champion. We get Conor Benn there. Gaiasov is about to Debo that belt off of Rolly. We got Brian Norman Jr. and I forget who the other champion is. That he could be a dude to really bring some sort of relevance back to the welterweight division, man. So that's how I'm feeling about it. Shout out to Conor Benn, man. I fuck with you, gang. I'm supporting you. Deuces.